Hello, everyone. My name is Ariana with Volcano Island Haven, and I'm here today talking with Kelly Thiel. Kelly, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today and share a little bit about your experiences working with Derek. So, why don't we start by you telling me a little bit about what was your life like before you started working with Derek? What kinds of symptoms were you having, and how frequent or how severe were they?
Well, before I started working with Derek, I was having a lot of symptoms that started about 20 years ago, actually. I, like many people, have had lots of small traumas throughout my life, and a few big ones. And I noticed that now looking back, a lot of my loss of energy related to those traumas. And as I was going along, I got to a place where I had visited the Philippines. I visited with a psychic surgeon, and I had done acupuncture. I had traveled all over looking at different modalities, trying to help myself mentally and spiritually, as well as physically. And nothing was really working. I was making a little bit of progress here and there, but then it seemed like I would just fall all the way back. So I was getting to a point where I was getting desperate. I was depressed. I was tired. I was having a lot of symptoms that progressively got worse. And I found myself introduced to a self-help organization called Nixium. So I joined Nixium. I was in there for about 18 months, and I was making a little bit of progress. And I became indoctrinated into their system of belief. And then I realized I was in a cult. And so I left immediately. And then for about 4 to 6 months, I noticed that all my symptoms were getting worse. I was contacted by a documentary team to do a documentary that would bring forth my voice as a survivor of a cult, along with a few other women. When we finished filming at the end of 2019, my body literally fell apart. I was having a hard time walking. I was having a hard time talking. I was having a hard time thinking. I was having pins and needles all over my body. I was getting hot and cold. I had brain fog. The symptom list goes on and on and on, and they were pretty severe. Now, I went to regular doctors, of course, and I was diagnosed with pernicious anemia. I took the vitamin B shots for a while, and they didn't help. Like around April, I was diagnosed with hemochromatosis, which is too much iron in the blood. Right around that time is when I met Derek. So that
Wow.
would be April of this year.
Wow. So it sounds like you've really tried many things to deal with the health issues that you were experiencing. And so how did you end up finding Derek, and what made you decide to start working with him?
Well, I found the medical medium last year, and I had been working with some of the food and the celery juice and things like that. And somewhere along the line, when I was researching the medical medium, somehow Derek's name popped up, and I don't remember how or where, but I contacted him. I had him in my phone book, and then I decided, when I got so desperate to the point that I couldn't even get out of bed, it was just miserable. That's when I contacted him. So I found him. I'm not exactly sure where, but somewhere on the internet.
Very cool, very cool. And so what was the consultation like when you first met Derek, and what were some of your initial impressions during that first consultation with him?
Well, the first consultation was really interesting because he did a body scan in the beginning, and he nailed like 9 out of all the 10 symptoms or more that I had. He nailed them right away without, I didn't even tell him. So that to me was really interesting. So I felt like, okay, he sees me, he sees what's going on. The other thing that I thought was really interesting was he didn't um, go for the diagnosis. He was looking for patterns. And that resonated with me because I knew I had created all these patterns somewhere in the last 20 years with the trauma and the experiences that I had. I had started creating these patterns. So for me, that completely resonated.
Awesome, very cool. And so how long have you been working with Derek now?
I think we started in June, mid-June of this year, and we did 1 month session. I met with him, or he worked on me twice a week. So I bought that package to begin with. I was a little hesitant. The other thing that really surprised me, which I loved, is that he said after at 2 weeks, if we can't find some kind of forward motion in this, some healing, then he would return my money. And I thought that was an amazing guarantee from someone in this industry.
Yeah, very cool. And yeah, so that was June and it's, let's see, October now. So it's been
Yes.
a couple months that you guys have been working
Mhm.
together. And so what kinds of shifts or changes have you seen with your symptoms since you've been working with Derek?
Well, it's been a long process, so it didn't happen overnight. The very first time he worked on me, which I thought was really interesting, he said he would work. So we set up the package on a Sunday, and he said, I will be working on you the following week. I'm not sure what day, and I have no idea what time, but I will send you an email. So I was kind of waiting for him to work on me. And I'm like, Tuesday's rolling around and still nothing. And so Tuesday morning, I was driving, and all of a sudden, I had this sense of peace come over me and a sense of hope, which I had not had at all in a long time. And that sense of hope, right in itself, was enough for me to just say, okay, this is working. And so I realized he was working on me because I got to my phone and I saw the email. He had just worked on me. So I thought, okay, this is really great. And so it was a progression of hope first and a sense of well being, but my symptoms were still at nines and tens. And he had told me not to really expect those to alleviate much in the very beginning. So just the ability to have hope and to look forward to something was huge for me. Then over the period of a month, I started noticing slowly, like the tingling getting a little bit better, this my sense of balance getting a little bit better in increments over the weeks that we worked together.
Wow, that's really wonderful. And so now after a couple of months, how are your symptoms now?
So we worked together for 3 months consecutively. And my symptoms are probably 95% completely gone. I now am I get up in the morning. I used to have to nap 2, 3 times a day. I would be up, only really could stay up for like 2 hours at a time. I would sleep about 10 hours a night. I would sleep throughout the day. Now I don't take naps. I'm back to working again. I'm writing my book. I'm working on projects. I have so much energy. Now, this didn't happen overnight. Again, it would come and go. And there were, at one point, I had another small trauma that hit me emotionally. And I took a very large step back. And I called Derek and I told him what happened. And he said, well, let's see how quickly you recover. So I recovered within 48 hours. And he thought that was great. So did I. Then I noticed that each time I would hit an emotional block with either the film coming out or all kinds of things that were going on, I started to recover faster and faster. So now I feel like my homeostasis, my equilibrium is much better and much more stable. And I'm so positive. I'm not depressed anymore. I wake up in the morning, I'm ready to go take on the day and doing things I've never done before. So it's been really, really amazing.
Wow, that is fantastic. And so it sounds like Derek's work has had an impact on your life far beyond just the symptoms that you were having.
The symptoms were really the least of my problems, even though I had a hard time getting out of bed. It was the emotional, the mental, and spiritual depression that I was having that was far worse than because I couldn't deal with the physical stuff because I was so focused on the other things that were going on that were holding me down, pushing me back. So there's been an overall shift in everything. And the really great thing is things are starting to happen now, just purely out of nowhere. Opportunities are coming up, people are calling. I have all these great things that are happening that weren't happening before. It was like he opened a door and now everything's being allowed in.
Wow, really fantastic. And so if you had to look back and think about some of your symptoms that you were experiencing and sort of
Mhm.
put a percentage with them of what percentage you feel that they've improved, what would you say?
I'd say overall my symptoms have improved about 90 to 95%. I was all nines and tens in the beginning, and I'm down to zeros or ones. And it's almost as if now my body's doing what it needs to do to heal itself.
Mhm.
I mean, my iron levels were so off the charts, and I was doing phlebotomies. That's the only way they can treat hemochromatosis, and they actually take a pint of blood. I was doing that every 2 weeks, and it wasn't working. When Derek and I did the second session, when I was starting to do the phlebotomies, we were talking about it, and so he started working on me during the phlebotomies. And by the time I got my blood work done again, my blood was completely normal. My doctor was shocked, completely shocked.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
really phenomenal.
He said, this doesn't happen. He said, you need to have so many phlebotomies to get this done and bring my iron was so far off the charts, and now it's completely within range. So, and that happened after I started working with Derek for the second session when we realized what was going on. That happened within 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. That's really wonderful. Is there anything else that you want to share about the experiences that you've had working with Derek?
I think, well, I had my daughter had a session with him as well, 1 month session, and he helped her tremendously, which she went from being a kind of a quiet, shy young lady to singing again and happy again and just a joy to be around. And she doesn't really know, she knew Derek was working on her, but she doesn't really know what was going on or how it was working. And she never asked, and it was okay. It just, I saw the difference, and that's all that matters. So I think working with Derek is, it's a joint effort. It's a team effort. You need to be open to it. You need to allow it to happen, and it's got to be something that you want. And I think that my biggest shift with Derek was understanding that I am really in control of allowing this to happen for myself, with him helping and facilitating. But it's really my journey and my responsibility to get, and I just need a little help. And now I feel like I'm on my way.
Wow, that's really wonderful, Kelly. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's all the questions that I had for you, unless there was anything else that you wanted to share.
I'd like to say one more thing. We have created, through the Stars documentary, we have created a website called seducedocumentary.com for anyone who is a survivor of a cult, finds themselves struggling with a cult or an abusive relationship. It's a place for them to find resources and support. And again, it's called seducedocumentary.com.
All right, great, and we'll share the link for that underneath this video
Okay.
as well. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
you're very welcome.